Pillar number 5 is no excuses, be reliable, execute flawlessly. And to a lot of y'all, that standard is a little bit too high, but I'm going to tell you something. Although it's never possible to achieve perfection, there's a choice that you make every single day in this business. You choose to wake up when you know you need to wake up. You choose before you go to bed the night before whether or not you're going to organize the van for the next day, whether or not you're going to go through all your administrative paperwork and make sure everything is on track, whether or not you're going to look at tomorrow's jobs and just read through them one last time and visualize them and try to predict anything that may make them go wrong. Every day, day in and day out, for every minute of every single day, you're making decisions about how much of you're willing to put into this business. And I will tell you this from experience, the more of you that you put into this business, the more you're going to get back out of it. And it's maybe a little bit of a delayed return. You have to put a lot in today, and the return you get out of that may not come for a year or two. But the position that you ultimately find yourself in is the position that I eventually found myself in. And here's what that position is. I have, I don't know, 6 property managers from one company, 2 or 3 from another company. The number goes up and down a little bit. Those are my 2 main clients. And then I have a handful of smaller companies who send me less work than those 2 big ones. But I've got sort of a nice smattering of property managers. And I've got enough of them that I can afford to lose any one property manager at any given point in time. And it doesn't really affect my business. But what's interesting is having so few property managers, it's clear to me when I have lost one. And it's never because anything's gone wrong. I execute flawlessly. I contact the tenants right away. I get them scheduled. I show up on time. I get the job done right. Or if I have workers like I do right now where I'm not the one on the job all day, every day, I make sure that they're doing so. But what I'm trying to say here is I execute really, really well. And then what I find is that every now and then my property managers just fall off the mat. There will be one out of, let's say, 9 or 10, one property manager who used to send me a job a day, a job every other day, however many jobs it was. All of a sudden, no jobs for 2 months. They're just completely gone. Now, I know that they still need a handyman, therefore I know that they must have a handyman, and it's just not me. And I can also predict that because my work quality is high and I get no callbacks, I can usually predict that the reason they've left me is because they found somebody cheaper. And that's nearly always the case. But here's the thing. They always come back. And the reason they always come back is because I execute flawlessly. Yes, I charge more. Yes, I charge for estimates, which they hate having to tell their homeowners. There are things about working with me that they wish were different. But the difference is I execute every single time. I call the tenants, I schedule the jobs, I show up on time, I do the work correctly, I take care of everything, and my property managers don't receive complaints, or for that matter, they don't have to deal with maintenance at all. They receive a job, they send it to me, and a week later they receive an invoice, and they've just washed their hands of maintenance. And because I do that, they always come back. And how do I know that's what's happening? Well, because when they come back, typically what happens is they've been gone for a couple months, no work. Then all of a sudden, 8 new jobs or 12 new jobs, just all at once, just come rushing in from that one property manager. Sure enough, I get everybody scheduled, I start showing up to the jobs, and it's very obvious on every job that there's some other guy. We'll call him Steve. It could be any name, but I'll show up to the job, I'll start working on something, and I'll just casually just ask, hey, has anybody looked at this recently? Oh yeah, Steve was out here last week actually. Some guy named Steve came out, and he said he fixed it, but then the next day it was broke again. And I go, okay, cool, noted. Go to the next job. Hey, has anybody been out here to work on this recently? Yeah, Steve came out here and said he was going to Home Depot, and then he called back about 3 hours later and said some emergency came up and he wasn't going to be able to make it back. Okay, noted. Go to the next job. Has anybody been out here recently? Oh, yeah, Steve was out here recently, and he did half the job, and then he said he was going to have to reschedule because he had another job to go to, so he's going to reschedule, but he never did call me back to reschedule, and that's why it's still half done. So in other words, Steve was cheaper than me, but the property manager got what they paid for. What they paid for was lower quality, and what they pay for with me, again, it's not perfection exactly. But with me, what you get is you get somebody who puts everything they have into it and who strives as hard as they can every single day to make sure that if you send me a job it's gonna get done, and it's gonna get done correctly the first time without any hassle. So no excuses, guys. Be reliable, execute flawlessly. Over time, if you do this over and over, yes, some of your clients will try to leave you for somebody more affordable with lower performance. But that lower performance is always going to drive them back into your arms if you can have no excuses, be reliable, and execute flawlessly. So please take that to heart. That will build your reputation, and your reputation in this industry is everything. So with all that being said, I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on pillar number 6.